Welcome back to DDRP. I'm Dakota.
And I'm Bryson.
We want to start off by saying thank you for taking an interest in our videos. It means a lot to us. And we'll admit, sometimes you don't want to work out on the car when it's 115 degrees. But we're having fun and making memories. If you enjoyed these videos, please give us a thumbs up, like, subscribe, and share. Next, we wanted to share some information we found on the Dart that we thought was pretty cool. It turns out that in 1966, there were 3 trim packages to choose from for the Darts. And there's the Dart 170, there's the Dart 270, and there's the Dart GT. And 2 engine options of the Slant 6 and the V8. Ours is a 270 with a Slant 6. According to a website called Automobile Catalog, there were 28,500 Dart 270 Slant 6 cylinders produced. According to this data from another source, there were only 2,000 Dart 270 convertibles produced, which means our car is pretty rare. In our last video, we showed how we rebuilt the front suspension and brakes. You might be thinking, okay, now we can move on to the rear suspension and brakes. But not quite yet.
Right, so when we purchased the Dart, it came with 10 wheels and tires. All right, so let me explain a little bit. So 5 of those wheels and tires were 13-inch wheels, right? This is what the original equipment on the Dart was. It was the equivalent of like a trailer wheel. And it was a smaller bolt pattern, 5 lugs by 4 inches apart if you were to measure from one lug across to another. We also received 5 wheels and tires that were 14 inches, in 14-inch rims, and the 5 lug by 4.5 inch wheel pattern. So the reason that they did this is because the larger bolt pattern allowed for more variety of rims that could be put on the car, right? So if we stayed with the 13-inch, the smaller bolt pattern, there's only so many rims that they made that were compatible with that wheel size. So the 4.5 or the 5 by 4.5 inch bolt pattern allowed for more variety of rims and therefore wheels and tires as well. So the differential, meaning the rear wheels, had already been upgraded to the larger bolt pattern when we got the Dart. And now that we have finished the front brake upgrade to the 4.5 bolt pattern, we can now run the 14-inch wheels on the front and the back all the way around. So that means we don't have to carry 2 spares with us.
Later down the road, we will likely upgrade to larger and sportier wheels. For now though, we're going to keep it with the basic 14-inch wheels with OE Dart hubcaps. But there are some issues. Number 1, the tires are old and all different sizes. And number 2, now that we're running a larger wheel and not the stock 13-inch wheels, we're having a hard time getting the tire shops to sell us some tires. We need to be able to move the car in and out of the carport, so tires at this time are a must.
Exactly. So again, according to Automobile Catalog, the original equipment on the Dart, on the 66 Dart, was a tire size of 165, 80, 13. Or in other words, a tire that is 165 millimeters wide, and then from the rim to the top of the sidewall on the tire, 80 millimeters, and then put on a 13-inch rim. So the site Automobile Catalog also provides alternative wheel sizes that will fit the Dart and fit the fenders and the wheel well without rubbing or scraping. They recommended not going larger than a total diameter, so that the diameter is going across the entire wheel and tire, right? not going larger than 24.1 inches. So Dakota and I put the car up on jack stands, and I took all 10 wheels and tires down to Discount Tire. I've used them for years, and I like their customer service. So we took it down there, one, to get rid of the old tires. As I said, they were mismatched, all different sizes on all the wheels and tires. But number two, so we could get new tires for our 14-inch wheels. So on Discount Tire's website, they had the original equipment for our Dart listed as a 14-inch wheel with a 205/85/14 as the recommended size. The problem is that would have put the total wheel diameter at 25 to 26 inches all the way across, depending on which tire you bought. So that's too big for our car. That would cause rubbing, and we don't want that. So originally they said that 3 of my 14-inch rims that I brought to them were 4.5 inches wide from inner bead to inner bead. And then 2 of them were 4 inches wide. So they said that I needed, they needed obviously 4 of one size wheels so they could sell us the same tire and it would be fine. So I called up my uncle, and the same one that went and looked at the Dart with me and that's given me advice along the way, and asked if he had any spare 14-inch rims laying around that might be 4.5 inches wide. So he said, yeah, come on down. He's collected some different Mopar parts over the years. So we went over to his house, and sure enough, in the backyard, he's got lots of different rims, wheels, and tires. And there were a few of them we were looking at where the tires needed to be removed. So we spent a good amount of time trying to remove those tires and finally did it. We wound up having to take a Sawzall to it to finally get some of those old tires off because of the bead that's on the inside, so anyway, I wound up getting 2 more rims that were 4.5 inches wide and one that was 5 inches from inner bead to inner bead, just in case I wanted to run a larger spare. So when I finally got this and I take everything back to the wheel shop to Discount Tire, I have a different sales clerk at this time, and he says, well, the only way to tell really how wide your rims are is to take the tires off of the rims. So let's go ahead and do that. So they took all the tires off of the rims, only to find out that the original set of 5 that I brought him were all 4 inches wide. So they weren't different sizes. I could have just had it all done then. Anyway, he wanted, after figuring that out and looking on their database, they wanted to sell me a tire that was a 185/70/14. That's a total wheel diameter of 24.3 inches, so just barely over the maximum recommended, but unfortunately the system wouldn't allow them to do it. So I had to work with the sales rep to write a request over to corporate fitment team for Discount Tire, explaining to them what the original equipment specs were for the 1966 Dart, and ask them to update their database so that they could sell me the tires. So the sales guy said, don't know how long it's going to take them to respond. We'll call you when they do. So I went about doing, different chores later that afternoon. I get a call back later that afternoon from Discount. He says, good news. The fitment team responded and they've updated the nationwide database to the specifications you provided, and now we can sell you the tires. And I was like, woohoo! So went down to Discount, got the new tires. The good news is we got our tires, 5 tires and warranties all out the door for about $500. So 4 plus the spare. The bad news is they updated the national database with the wrong size tire. So they didn't put the original 165/80/13 as the original equipment. They put the tire that they sold me, the 185/70/14, which, oh well, that's a problem for another day.
To finish off this portion of the build, we purchased 6 new lug nuts, so we have the same size all the way around. And the wheels got cleaned, with a new coat of paint, so they look all real nice. And they almost look brand new, but not quite. Earlier we mentioned that we had a full set of hubcaps for the 14-inch rims we'll be using. The hubcaps were a factory upgrade option back in the day that looked pretty cool if you ask me. And we'll be using those. This is what the wheels will look like with the hubcaps on. Right now we're doing a budget build, but later on, when we have more money, we will upgrade to some American Racing torque thrust 2 pieces for 15-inch wheels, which will look something like this. We're at it. This is the vision for a Dart. And another question we get asked a lot is, are you going to get it painted? And the answer is yes, and we're going to keep the original paint and interior color. I mean, it's called Vader, so we're going to keep it black and red. We hope you come back in a couple of weeks when we begin rebuilding the rear differential and rear suspension and brakes. Thanks for watching.